Hey, pal, and welcome to season 3 of I've Got Your Back, the podcast. This season is all about well-being. I am so passionate about my own well-being, and I'm so passionate about sharing all of the tools that I've learned over the years that really can improve your overall well-being. So there'll be 8 different themes and 8 different areas of well-being that we'll cover off. I really hope you enjoy it, and let me know your feedback. Hello, everyone, and welcome to season 3 of I've Got Your Back, the podcast. And this is episode 5 of this season, which is all about well-being. And I'm really excited to bring you a topic that I'm so passionate about, which is physical health and gut health. And the reason I'm so passionate about this is because 7 years ago, to be honest, my gut was in a bit of a mess. My physical health was not great, and I'll share a bit more about that. And I started to have a lot of issues around my gut and my overall health. And 7 years on, I can clearly see what was going on at that time for all these issues to start happening with my health. And I've made it a sort of passion of mine to learn everything that I possibly could about the gut and how important it is. And so I wanted to bring some of that wisdom to all of you in this episode, because I really feel that the more and more people that I speak to and coach and mentor with their well-being, I really understand that so many people struggle with their health, or they have these sort of symptoms or issues that they feel is normal, which is actually not normal. So that's why I thought it was so good to talk about these things in this episode. So first of all, I just wanted to sort of say, why am I talking about gut health, or what does that even mean? So some of you may or may not know this, but essentially your gut is like your second brain, and whatever you're putting into your body, so in through your mouth and into your gut, actually can affect your mind. And it's so important that we're mindful around what we're putting in through our mouth and that eventually arrives in our gut, because it is like a second brain and it can affect you mentally and of course physically. And so there's something called the gut microbiome that I wanted to mention. And your gut microbiome is absolutely the foundation of your gut. So what is the gut microbiome? It's basically trillions of bacteria and viruses and fungi that are all sort of collected within your intestines. And they basically are formed straight away in the beginning when we're born, and they sort of adjust and change and develop over the years from the moment we're actually born. And so it's so important that we look at that microbiome and those microbes which are in your intestine. So the microbes are all that bacteria, all the viruses, all those fungi, the collective of all of those together, that basically are called microbes that exist in your intestine. So it really acts as another organ. And so the gut microbiome, there's so many studies, there's so many people talking about this online now, saying it's the most important thing around health and gut health and overall health and physical health and how your mood is and different things like that. So that's essentially what it is. And the reason, if you think about it, why it's important is because anything that sort of starts to form in your gut will eventually impact the rest of your body, your mind and your body and your soul. So I wanted to just go back and talk about my story in a bit more detail. So 7 years ago, I was definitely not in this place of talking about well-being or even had any clue or any advice to anyone, because to be honest, where I was at that moment in time, so just to give you a picture of what happened, I had just split up from a major relationship. So I was definitely in a pit of grief, 100%. I was in a highly stressed job environment. Not that my job was stressed the entire time that I was in a corporate job, but specifically for the last sort of year of my career and my corporate job, I was actually getting bullied. And that started to affect my body. But at the time, I just thought it was normal, and I just thought it was maybe something I was eating. But that stress, that sort of fear of getting into the office to face someone that was bullying me every single day without any consequence from the corporate company, that they weren't actually doing anything to sort of rectify that behavior. I actually started to take on that in my body. And there's actually a fantastic book called The Body Keeps the Score. And if you haven't read that, I really encourage you to check it out, because it talks about how your body is always telling you that something's up. So if you're getting migraines, if you're getting headaches, if you're bloated, if you get skin conditions, if you've got aches and pains, if you've got trouble sleeping, if you've got low energy, like all of these things, our body is giving us a message, and the body's keeping the score. So when I think about back then when I was under a huge amount of stress, in my work environment, what started to happen with me is I started to develop really severe digestive issues. Like, to be honest, to be very blunt of what was going on at that time, I had a 30-minute drive to the office, and within that 30-minute period I had to pull over 3 times to go to the toilet. Like extreme, like have to get to the toilet now type of thing. And I just put that down to like something I was eating, like some sort of food the night before. And when it first happened, I was a bit like shocked. I was like, oh, that's strange. But then it started to happen day after day after day. And again, I just normalized that. And I thought, well, it just must be because I had an English breakfast tea, because that's what I used to have for breakfast. Don't anymore, but I'll talk about that. Or like I had like lots of cheesy dairy infused pasta the night before or stuff like that. I started to normalize that digestive issue. And I never connected at that time that the stress and everything that I was sort of doing and putting into my gut was actually contributing to my body doing that. I wasn't paying attention. So that was going on. I had sort of skin breakouts randomly. I had very dry skin. And most of the things that I do now, if I'm on YouTube, like I don't wear any makeup. I have nothing on now. I, over the 7 years, have developed ways of eating and looking after my gut that actually brings out this natural glow and sort of that sort of aura around me, just because I've made these changes. But back then I definitely didn't have this look, or this feeling, more importantly. I definitely had struggles with energy and fatigue, like extreme fatigue at night, like just having dinner and just wanting to go straight to bed. Definitely in the afternoons, I would experience a massive dip in terms of energy. And I always had bloating, especially with what was going on for me with going to the toilet. I would experience extreme bloating and then have to go to the toilet like immediately at really random times. And I ended up developing a lot of anxiety, because for me, like even to go on a bus journey for like 15 minutes, I was like actually panicking about where the next toilet would be. And I started to literally plan my life around the toilets and the locations of where I was going. And again, I just did this thinking, oh, this is just normal. This is the way my body just is now, not realizing that something was actually severely wrong. Something was not going well in my body. So what happened was I started to really think about, like, because it got so extreme, I was like, what can I actually do? So at that time, in terms of the work situation, I ended up leaving that job. Luckily, I had built my own business with Arbonne, so I'd built up another income that allowed me to leave that job, because it was just becoming too extreme. It was actually way too much. And I was crying most days. I mean, there was a whole bunch of stuff that was going on at work that I had to just stop. And so I was so grateful that I'd built up an income with Arbonne, because it meant that decision was much easier. So I left my corporate job and just handed in my notice and just said, our values are not aligned anymore, and the behavior that's going on here is not aligned with my values. So it was a very empowering moment. And I think something like that, even though you don't think it would be connected to your physical health, it actually does. And I remember having a feeling of being less anxious and less stressed because I wasn't having to drive into an office where it wasn't a nice working environment. So I left my job. So I think that removed a lot of stress. I ended up going for a colonoscopy and an endoscopy because it got so extreme. And again, because I think I removed myself from the job, it sort of gave me that time to actually go and focus and try and find out like what's causing this. Like why am I getting this issue? So what they found was in the colonoscopy, they found a hyperplastic polyp. Luckily, there's two types of polyps you can get, which is very unusual for at that time. I was 31, I think, and the doctor told me it was so unusual for someone my age to develop these. Normally, it's like much older people that get it, like 60s and 70s. So he said it's really unusual that you have this. But luckily, there's two types of polyps. There's cancerous polyps and there's hyperplastic, and mine was hyperplastic. So he was able to remove that. But he said, you're going to have to really look into like why this is going on and maybe look into your gut. So again, another message to start looking into the things that I could do. So shortly after that, I embarked on a gut health reset program. So this is with Arbonne, and obviously I'm an ambassador for Arbonne, and I love the products. And basically because of this story, because I've had such a profound experience and the impact the products actually made on me. So our 30 days it's a gut health reset program for 30 days. And it was a huge education for me, learning all the things I'm sharing with you now, learning like what the gut microbiome was, why it was so important, learning from nutritionists, learning from doctors, learning from naturopaths, like learning from all these health experts about like the importance of looking after your gut. So what I did for 30 days is I cut out alcohol, I cut out sugar, coffee. I mean, I'm not a coffee person anyway, so that was fairly easy. I cut out dairy, I cut out soy, and was that pretty much it? Yeah, so I cut out potentially, the reason we do that is because a lot of these things, in gluten and wheat actually, a lot of these things can create intolerances in the body. And I think also the way that our food is made now is very different to how food was made and produced like 30, 40, 50 years ago. So, number of years ago, like the soil was healthy, people weren't putting pesticides and things into the soil that actually damaged it. Like, I think a lot of the food that was produced back then was actually organic food that was produced in farms without pesticides, without chemicals, without all these things being mass produced. And so because of that, our food has changed. And so what I realized was that gluten for me and dairy was definitely a thing that my body was reacting to. And so when I cut it out for 30 days, I noticed that the bloating went down. I noticed that my digestive issues started to ease, like I wasn't running to the toilet or having to like plan my days through getting a toilet, And I started to really see the difference in these 30 days. My skin started to clear up. Obviously alcohol was a big thing because you remove that and it just removes a whole bunch of bloating. So doing this program and basically just having whole foods. So, lots of plants, like every meal that I had was pretty much 70% plants in terms of proper meals, a little bit of protein and a little bit of good carbs. So it was actually having a good selection. I started to have a proper breakfast. As I said to you before, I did this gut health reset program. I was actually having a cup of English breakfast tea for breakfast and not eating till like 12 or 1, but being absolutely starving and literally eating like the first thing I could find and demolishing it, So it really wasn't great. And sometimes I would even just have a biscuit with that cup of tea. Like that was actually my breakfast. Not really realizing that was not good for my gut and it wasn't good for me. So I removed that as well. I stopped taking English breakfast tea and biscuits for breakfast. I started to replace it with protein, like protein shakes with vegetables and fruit. And those smoothies to basically get me off in the right start. I took all the nutrition products that Arbonne have. So the detox tea I had first thing in the morning, then I'd have my smoothie or oats with fruit and seeds and pumpkin seeds. Then I'd have a healthy salad for lunch. Then I'd have, back then, I'd have maybe a bit of steak and then sweet potato and broccoli for dinner, I wasn't like I was going hungry. I was just being so mindful of having quality foods, not processed foods, but food that I made from quality sources and organic wherever I could, So I did this for 30 days. It completely transformed my health. And then I decided to basically carry on with the principles that I had learned, the recipes that I had learned, the habits that I had developed over these 30 days. I decided to keep pretty much 80 to 90% of those habits. And again, I just started to notice this incremental improvement of my digestive issues. And then that led me, the program was such a big catalyst for me because it led me to exploring other things, because I started to get a clearer mind. Like, I wasn't drinking, I wasn't having dairy, like I wasn't having all these things that affected my gut and in turn affected my mind. So I started to get clearer about what I could do next. So I remember booking an appointment with a naturopath. And I sat down with her and I explained to her everything I was doing with Arbonne, the products. And she said, that's amazing because you have to look after your gut. So she said, you're taking all the right things from a nutritional point of view, your protein, so vegan protein, gut health products, it was like super greens, drink with a gut microbiome product, and it was actually amazing. So by the time I got to her, she was really happy with what I was consuming in terms of food. But what she said to me is, I think we need to get your blood tested to see where like there's anything else going on. So she actually sent me to get my blood tested against 150 different food types. So what that basically meant was that I could get tested based on my blood against all these food groups to see if I actually had an intolerance to them. And so what happened was the report came back and it actually said I was massively intolerant to dairy, like red off the scale, like 150, egg whites off the scale over 100. And I remember it's sort of that data clarified for me what I was feeling. Because I remember in the lead up to that, like I was making sort of eggs for breakfast or like a brunch sometimes. And as I put the egg to my mouth, it was almost as if I was like ready to vomit. And it was like, again, the body tells you things, but sometimes we're rushing around so much that we're not really paying attention to what our bodies are telling us. So I definitely remember that moment of that, getting that like clarity and thinking that's so amazing, because that's exactly what my body was sort of telling me, but I didn't have the data, right? So I got that report and I pretty much, she said to me, listen, you need to completely stay off dairy for at least the next 6 months. And I did that and then some. So even now I only have a tiny, tiny bit of dairy. Sometimes I do react to it, but to be honest, because it's in tiny, tiny amounts and because I've not really taken it as much as I was previous, before 7 years ago, I definitely don't react. So there was all these things that sort of helped, but this gut health reset program for 30 days was the catalyst for so many things in relation to my gut health, and realizing when I removed certain things and I almost had a blank canvas and I started to introduce gluten or dairy and my body reacted, then I knew it was that thing that was sort of making my body react. So that's why I highly recommend it, because I just think it's such a powerful program to really understand your gut more, to understand your body more, and to have that blank canvas to make decisions from that place. So that was pretty much my story. And now I just keep evolving that. I still live that program. I would say 90%, 10%. Of course, I have a little bit of chocolate. I have a little bit of dairy, but it's not in the extremes. It's actually more, I developed these healthy habits from this program, and that's how I live my life. And even when I go out for dinner, I sort of make choices based on those habits and those principles. Whole foods, not processed foods, like from like fruit and vegetables from farmers markets or organic sources as much as I can and get access to. So all of those things. So I hope that gives you a bit of an insight as to where I came from, and sort of understanding why, like, I only ever speak from lived experience for something that I've had a challenge with. And then I've found things along the way that have helped me to cure or help my well-being. And so I think it's really important that, anything you hear, there's so much out there these days on this topic. but I think it's really important that you hear from someone's lived experience, something that's actually true to them. And, you know, some of this may help for you, some of it may not, but I actually believe in sharing my personal health story in terms of my physical body and my gut health journey. It can inspire, or perhaps you might think of something that you're going to do because of it. And I think sharing is really important. So that's basically about my story. So I wanted to just share with you a couple of facts. So in terms of like, what about the gut? So this is what the gut is all about. Your gut is made up of good and bad bacteria. And some of these bad bacteria can be potentially harmful and can lead to other things. So in terms of the gut, did you know that there's 50 trillion bacteria that live in your gut? And there's around 300 to 500 different types of bacteria that are there, just like a fingerprint. So every single person's fingerprint is unique. No person's gut is the same. Every person's gut microbiome and how it's made up is unique to that person. And of course, depends on from when you're born to the food you've consumed to what you do in terms of your daily intake of food, and all these things are your work situation, all of that. So you do need to develop a balance between the good and bad bacteria because of the basically profile that you have. 70% of our immune system is made in the gut. So if your gut isn't healthy, your immune system won't function well, and it will lead to you getting sick more often. 95% of your body's serotonin, I cannot believe this when I found this out, 95% of your body's serotonin, your happy hormone, is made in the gut. So if you're not feeling happy, look at your gut. Look at what's going on there. Look at what you're feeding it. Look at what you're putting in it. If your gut is not healthy, then you're going to struggle to produce that serotonin. And that can be linked to low mood, even anxiety or depression. So again, it's looking into your gut if you are experiencing some of those things. I want to talk about some of the signs. I've shared a lot of my signs of having an unhealthy gut, but I wanted to share some others with you. So having an upset stomach, so that could be diarrhea, it could be bloating, it could be constipation, it could be gas, it could be heartburn. These are all signs of having an unhealthy gut. Or you might even find, you have a challenge processing food and eliminating waste. So again, that's a sort of sign. That was definitely one for me. You eat a lot of sugar and high processed foods. High sugar diet is strongly linked to an unhealthy gut, and it increases the bad bacteria and puts it completely out of balance. The third thing is you might not be sleeping well, so you're always tired. The majority of your body's serotonin, a hormone that affects mood and sleep, is produced in the gut. Like I said, so that serotonin is there. So gut damage can affect your sleep massively. Number 4, you're having skin issues. So I was definitely having that over the years. So you might feel that you have dry skin, you might have eczema, you might have psoriasis, you might have breakouts, you might have acne. These are all signs that can be contributing to an unhealthy gut. So when someone comes to me, actually, a lot of people come to me in Arbonne and they do have like problematic skin, but they don't really want to get the steroids and any of that. They want to go for a more sort of holistic, natural remedy. I always recommend, at the bare minimum, that they do the 30 days to gut health, gut reset program, or the green gut glow shot, which I take or drink, that I take every single day. It's got 36 fruits and vegetables in there. It's got gut health product that basically helps the good bacteria, the balance of the good and bad bacteria in your gut. And it also has a collagen in it. So it's a skin elixir. So it builds the collagen in your skin from the inside and brings a good collagen to the front of your skin. Very minimal. I will suggest that, the green gut glow drink, but for proper reset, to really look and have that blank canvas, always recommend the 30 days to healthy living gut reset program. And that definitely helps with acne. I've seen many a testimonial with that over the years. Number 5 is you're putting on weight, or you're losing weight, or you're doing a bit of a yo-yo all the time. This can also be signs of an unhealthy gut and your sort of ability to absorb nutrients, regulate sugar, and store fat. So these are definitely things that can sort of be a cause. And then lastly, as I've said before, low mood and sort of anxiety or anything like that, depression or signs of that. Not saying that this is a cure, absolutely not, because again, I'm not a doctor, and you always need to seek medical professional advice. But for me, definitely looking at your gut and the ways that you can improve your gut health can be part of a wider plan for those sort of challenges that you have. So that's all about the gut. And I wanted to just share that with you because I think it's really important to understand what that is. So I would encourage you just to maybe think about or even write down, like, do you experience any of those things? Could you, and I think most people experience at least two of those things on a daily basis. And again, we sort of label them as normal, but they're not normal. You're not supposed to be low in energy. You're not supposed to have these migraines. You're not supposed to have like these yo-yo spikes and trouble with your sleep and all the like skin conditions. Like, when we actually recognize them for what they are and say that these are not normal and actually actively working on a plan to improve them, I think that's when we get into a really powerful place. So the top tips that I would say in terms of improving your gut health, I've already mentioned a few, and of course through my story, but number one, definitely see if you can lower your stress levels. A high level of chronic stress is hard on your whole body. Your whole body gets affected, including your gut. So some ways to reduce stress, I would definitely look at your work. And I know that not all cases can you leave the job, but can you consider different options? Can you look into other things? Because if it is highly, highly stressful, that will 100% be contributing to your health and having that sort of unhealthy gut. Other ways is looking into meditation, walking, getting a massage regularly. One of the powerful tools that I've spoke about many times is yoga nidra. It's a meditation. I am a breathwork and meditation teacher, and one of the most powerful meditations I've ever experienced and learned is yoga nidra. It's like 20 minutes of yoga nidra is the equivalent of 3 hours deep sleep. And I know that you can download this in the link after the podcast, after this episode. Please do that, because it's one of the most powerful meditations you can do. And you literally are lying down in a blanket. It's amazing. It's actually so amazing. So I would recommend that. I would also think about supplements that you can take. Ashwagandha is really, really good for if you're struggling or you're stressed. It's like a really powerful adaptogen. Yeah, I got the right word. And it can really help in terms of helping you sleep. So I would look at that. Ashwagandha is really, really powerful. Number two, getting enough sleep. So making sure that you are allowing your body to regenerate and get that rest. If you're struggling with sleep, then again, yoga nidra can come in really useful because it helps get you that deep sleep in a really short period of time. Eat slowly. So chewing your food thoroughly, eating your meals slowly and mindfully is so powerful. And you really start to absorb the nutrients of your food. And just a little tip for me, not drinking water or liquids with your meals for at least 30 minutes after you digest your food. That actually helps your gut digest the food so that then the water can go down after that. So that's just a little hot tip. I would even do it having a glass of water 30 minutes before you're about to eat a meal, and then 30 minutes after, leaving it and then having a glass of water. I would also just suggest just another quick tip in terms of the morning. Like, I always have a detox tea every morning, but making sure that you have a glass of water, maybe with lemon and mint, or hot water and lemon, really good at just cleansing the body before you're ready to sort of, basically fuel it with the food that you're going to fuel it with. And also the green gut glow drink that I have recommended, I always take that first thing on an empty stomach. So after I have my detox tea or my hot water and lemon, I then have my green gut glow drink, because again, it's like a blank canvas. It just sets the gut up to receive what it's about to receive. Stay hydrated. Please drink plenty of water. I know this is sort of said, but it's actually doing it every day. Minimum 2 liters of water every single day. Keep you hydrated, eliminate that brain fog. And also, a lot of the time when you are feeling super hungry, I always suggest having a glass of water and just letting that settle, because sometimes we think we're super hungry, but actually we're just deeply hydrated. So making sure that you have water when you're feeling those feelings. Look at your diet, look at those small changes, and really try and make it like a lifestyle to look after your health, to develop these healthy habits, like reduce the amount of processed foods, reduce high sugar, reduce high fat foods. These all contribute to much better gut health. Eating plant-based foods as much as possible, lean protein, good carbs, whole foods. Honestly, I can't tell you how much this will improve your gut and your overall health. Aiming to eat 30 plus different fruits and vegetables per week, 10 minimum per day. So again, that for me is when I can't get, I think there's a bit of a transition, or people are in different places. Like there's people that do consciously have lots of plants, have lots of fruits and vegetables they've built into their day and meals that are all prepped and ready, and they get a lot of nutrients from that. And then I think there's sort of a whole bunch of people that do not do that at all, and they need a bit of a stepping stone to this change. I would say that I'm probably more on getting the nutrients from a lot of food, but I still do supplement because I know that I'm definitely not getting enough fruit and veg into my meals every single day. So that's why I love that Green Glow gut drink, or the greens, the super greens, because you're getting 36 different fruits and vegetables in one scoop, and they're like microgreens. Like they're so powerful. So they do come from like organic places. It's actually just not greens, it's purples and reds and yellows. It's the entire rainbow. So it's really, really powerful to do that. And I think wherever you, even if you are someone that's in the sort of the other end of the scale that is sort of, doing whole foods and doing all these things, I really do think some of these supplements do help as well, because it's just adding on to that health. You're just adding more in. Take a pre and probiotic and digestive enzymes. So that one that's in the greens is amazing. It's the gut health one, and I highly recommend it. So those are sort of the tips I wanted to share. And in terms of actions of what you do next, so it's really easy. Again, we live in a world where there's so much content, there's so much information, and we get all of this all the time at us. Or maybe you don't, maybe you're hearing these things for the first time. Either way, it's so important to decide on one action you're going to take. For me, I shared with you my journey. It took me a long time to realize there was something severely wrong with my health and with my gut. But I started to just do one thing that led to another thing, that led to another thing, that led to another thing, that led to another thing. And that still happens for me today. Like I don't stop in this health journey or this lifestyle. I keep adding in more sustainably that I know that works, because I read about it and I hear the benefits. So I would just suggest that you take one action from this, and whatever that is to you. For me personally, every single month, I always have people come on the 30 days gut reset program, because it's so powerful. Like I just recommend that people do that because it's the most profound results. Like I've never seen results like it. I just think it's so powerful. I know it's so powerful. So every single month we run that. We've got an amazing community group. So accountability and community is really important, because when you decide that you want to make this change in your life, you want to get healthy, not everyone's going to support you. And in fact, your family's probably not going to support you. Your friends are not going to support you, because you're not going to be as much fun anymore, inverted commas, because you're going to make different choices, and in turn that leads to a different lifestyle. So as soon as some of those closer members family and friends start to feel that you're going to slightly change the dynamic, they're going to be like trying to get you out of it. So it's so important that you put yourself in a group, a community with accountability. One, that you see it through, and two, that you're being supported through this program, through the change, because you're actually making a major change in your health. I'm a change management expert. You need to have the community and the accountability to make change happen, especially in yourself, because you'll do everything for everyone else, but 9 times out of 10, you'll do nothing for yourself. And it's time that you put yourself first, because when you put yourself first, you can give from that full cup and give to the people that you love the most, and to do the things that you love the most, and to achieve the goals that you want to, whatever it is, you can do that, but you have to focus in on yourself. So we've got an amazing community, amazing group. All of the content is being curated by nutritionists, doctors, naturopaths. Like I said, there's an app that we've got now called Thrive, and it's so incredible. So if you don't, we've got a private Facebook group for the community where we talk you through the 30 days, we educate you. It's literally like an education program of what good health looks like. And you get all of that, you get access to the app and all of that for the price of the nutrition products. Like, it is unbelievable value. And that's why I so endorse it, because for what you're paying for the products versus the value that you're getting in the program is absolutely incredible. And it's years and years of experience of health experts and people that have had results through the program is all in there. So yeah, I highly recommend you start there. And even I think the other wee tip I would give, that basically program runs all the time. You can get the pack and join whenever you want. However, something that I've been thinking of recently, especially for women, I mean, for both women and men, but especially for women around, I'm getting way more connected with astrology cycles, because again, that's been part of my health journey, is learning more about that and how do I align myself energetically and from an astrological point of view. And I think as women, it's so powerful that we align ourselves with the new moon and full moon, because in nature, because we already do it anyway with our cycles, right? And so one of the things I was thinking this week was, well, wouldn't it be cool if you're a woman and man, men as well, is, I'm sure it would be great as well, because it's a powerful time. But if you started this program on a new moon, how amazing would that be? So I actually think that I know that I would love to take a group of people through that from a new moon to the next phase, because then, new moons are all about setting new intentions, creating new habits. So energetically, it's a powerful time to start something, because I think the chances are you're going to stick with it a little bit more. That's me and my very astrological, limited knowledge, not limited knowledge, but a bit more knowledge around definitely new moons or something. And that's what if we all did this 30 days to gut reset program on a new moon? How powerful would that be? That was my thought this week. So yeah, let me know. I would love to help you and help you with that accountability and mentorship. And speaking from experience, honestly, is one of the most amazing things that I've ever done, is realizing how important your gut health is, realizing what you put in your mouth affects everything. And I'm sure you've heard this before, and I heard it years ago, like, your body is a temple and you've been given this body, and it's so important that you look after this vessel, because this is the body that's going to carry you through life, hopefully for a very, very long time. There's so many studies now and so many things that show the benefits and the longevity and the aging process based on these principles that we have in this program. Eating whole foods, eating more plants, looking after your gut, making all these decisions and learning about all these things absolutely can create longevity, and it can help with the aging process. So why wouldn't you want that? Why wouldn't you want to look after yourself so that you can live big in this lifetime, right? I'm all about that. I'm all about dreaming big, living big, and just doing all the things you want to do, or being all the things you want to be. Like, I really, truly believe as soon as you focus on the gut, the mind, the body, the soul, it's all a ripple effect from there. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'm super passionate about this, as you can tell, but hopefully that sparked a few ideas, inspiration, or thoughts in you, or maybe some of it's triggered you. Always important. It's always good when you get a wee trigger as well, when you're just like, oh, I don't like what Michelle said, but let's lean into that. Let's write some stuff down. So I encourage you, write down that one action, let me know what it is, and I'll speak to you soon. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. Remember, download the Yoga Nidra right after this episode. Make sure you have a listen. It's the most beautiful guided meditation that will regenerate your mind, your body, and your soul. Take care. See you soon.